a vacant or underutilized lot, and you build a new project on that lot. And what the comprehensive plan says about infill development, in 3 to number 6, is that it's an important component of reinvigorating and enhancing neighborhoods, but it should not compromise the integrity of stable neighborhoods and should be designed to respect the community context. Another policy says that residential character of neighborhoods must be protected, and that the positive characteristics of neighborhoods, there are incentives for redevelopment, but sometimes those positive aspects of neighborhoods can be harmed by redevelopment, and those redevelopment pressures should be controlled through zoning and other means to protect that neighborhood character. So those are the guiding principles, the big picture items in the comprehensive plan. Then if you turn to the next pages, there are policies from different elements in the plan: the land use element, transportation element, economic development element, including the mid-city element, the element that applies to this neighborhood. And I won't read through the whole thing. You can go through and read that. Again, this report is up on our website, the Office of Planning website, at planning.dc.gov. So there are policies kind of on both sides of the issue, and what we try to do is weigh those policies and then provide a recommendation to the zoning commission who makes the ultimate decision. Now, the next part of the comprehensive plan, again, are the 2 maps. I'll just point to them here. This is the general land policy map. This is the future land use map. And the white areas, or just off-white areas across the city, are what we call neighborhood conservation areas. And I've zoomed in again on the handout. And then on the back, I've described what neighborhood conservation areas are from excerpts from the comprehensive plan text. And then the second map, again, that's the future land use map. That helps describe what type of density the city envisions on different pieces of land throughout the city. And for this site, it calls for a mix of low and moderate density development, specifically low density commercial. That's the pink stripe on the map, and moderate density residential. That's the orange stripe. And again, on the back, I describe what those terms mean. So why don't we go through these real quick, first starting with neighborhood conservation areas. These areas typically have very little vacant or underutilized land, primarily residential in character. And where change occurs, it should be modest in scale and compatible with surrounding development. Now again, the future land use map talks about moderate density residential and low density commercial. So moderate density residential typically applies to your row house neighborhoods, but in some older parts of the city, like Green Cook, there may also be some higher story apartment buildings. But the expected future development is still moderate density, or lower than those older apartment buildings. And low density commercial, that's characterized by 1 to 3 story commercial buildings. So in general, we're talking about lower heights, not tall high rises in this area. So again, the important key is the zoning commission, who will ultimately decide approval or denial of this application, has to find that the design they are presented with is not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. So I just very quickly gone through some of the applicable policies, the applicable land use maps, but I do encourage you to go on our website. There's a thorough discussion in our report of the comprehensive plan. That should hopefully give you some good background on what's to be expected at the zoning commission hearings coming up in September. So hope that helps. Hope that helps. You guys gonna free to elaborate?
No, it's a good start. So let's do the round of questions. I'll start with Commissioner Lannon.
I guess, where does the comprehensive plan end and the Reed Cook overlay begin?
Well, the comprehensive plan is kind of, I would say, the foundation document. The Reed Cook overlay is a zoning district, and the zoning cannot be inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. The zoning has to follow what the comprehensive plan says, more or less. So, for the site in question, the comprehensive plan calls for low to moderate density development. But part of the site is zone C2B, which is a higher density zone. It's a medium density zone. Now, the only reason why C2B is compatible with the low to moderate density designation in the plan is because of the Reed Cook overlay, which tends to limit heights, limit densities. That help?
Yeah, for now.
Further?
I'll try this one.
Very well. Let's move on. Commissioner Miller?
Just quickly, this report is from back in November, and I see the front page, you sort of list 13 concerns, and I was just curious, procedurally speaking, have you gotten more information about any of these concerns, or is that going to be addressed at the hearing, or have there been any updates?
We'll address that in more detail at the hearing. We have gotten some information about the issues. The commissioner is reading from the front page of our report, which I do not have in the back. Sorry, I couldn't print out enough copies. But again, you can see this on our website. I can go through the issues kind of one by one if you'd like.
Well, sure, well, just, you can just highlight any that you have gotten information on, or
Sure.
if something's changed.
I guess I should point out also that the first paragraph kind of just describes our main issue, which is the height issue. But in terms of the bulleted issues, number one, the height has come down a couple of feet to within at least the C2B PUD height limit. So number one, I'd say is resolved. We've gotten more information about the southern face of the building, what it would look like. That's issue number two. Issue number three is the design of the rooftop structure, which is very complicated, kind of large. They have reduced that in size and much more simple now. The rooftop deck, there's a question about how the rooftop deck would be used. I know I've discussed that with the applicant. Honestly, I can't remember what the answer was at this point. I believe hotel guests can access that, but there wouldn't be any coordinated events up there, but that might be a question for the applicant who is here this evening. The impact of the proposed use on Champlain Street, I'm going to have to rely on DDOT to answer that. They'll be the experts on the traffic impacts. The internal configuration of the building, this has to do with where the registration desk for the hotel is located, and how will people be arriving at the hotel? Will that generate more traffic on Champlain Street, or will it be limited to Columbia and Euclid? We've gotten a little more information on the applicant on that one. I say we're still uneasy about that point, but again, that's something somewhere where DDOT will be able to weigh in more, I think, when they complete their analysis. Same with number 7, the use of the garage for commercial purposes. DDOT has had discussions with the applicant about that. We're able to address that.
Sorry, can you speak up a bit?
function.
Thank you.
The nature of the spa and health club uses is the next issue on the list. Those, I believe, will be open to the outside, to the public, but they're not going to be